All right, everybody. Welcome back to Super Jeremy World, and welcome to our special guest today, Tommy Tallarico from
Where?
Intellivision Entertainment.
Where is he? Where is he? Oh, here I am.
How are you doing today, sir?
I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good.
So, what's new? Do we have news dropping this week?
This week, what do we got dropping this week? Next week we have something next week. Wait, let me look at a calendar. Hold on, I want to be as accurate as I can. Let me see. So we're in the last week in June. Next week we have something, and then the following week okay. So we got something next week, something the week after, and then a big something the week after that. Looking at around July. Let me see. I want to say July 15th.
Okay.
We're going to drop something, and it's going to be a video, and it's going to be a video announcing something very cool that's happening in August.
Awesome.
So there you go. Little teaser there for you guys.
Okay, and before we jump into the main questions, the one that everybody wants to know, do we have an update on 1010? It seems like every time it's still we're still waiting, but it's 1010 for now.
Yeah, we won't have a decision. We won't know. I mean, right now, still, as what's the date today? Because I got to say this every time, so when people go back and look at this in the future, we are on June 24th, 2020. As of today, we're still at 1010, but we will know. We will know over the next 2 weeks whether that date is staying or not. So a lot of stuff has to happen over the next 2 weeks.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so I've got some questions I started with, and I've gathered a whole bunch. So if we need to, we'll do some of those rapid fire rounds, but I'm going to start off with some of the ones that I'd prepared.
Cool.
So the first one is, I noticed it's been about a week or 2 weeks ago that was kind of the anniversary of Keith's passing.
Yes.
And I was curious, I didn't see anything really from anybody about it. I just kind of noticed in my timeline, my history, hey, yeah, this was 3 years ago. And I was curious if y'all are doing anything specific to honor Keith with the Amico, like, is there anything specific? Like, is he going to show up in credits? Will there be, or can you tell us anything about that?
I don't want to. I can't tell you any specifics because let's just say there's going to be an Easter egg or two. So yeah, it's not going to be obvious, but it'll be for the folks who know him and love him. There'll be stuff in there.
You could say a Keithster egg.
A Keith. Oh, I like that. A Keithster egg.
Yeah, it's hard to say. But yeah, I just thought, really, and you could say, easily the new console is, it wouldn't be here because of Keith. You've said that before. So really the whole thing could be, kind of a tribute to him, but I was curious if there's anything specific. So I'm excited to see, Easter eggs could be the way that comes out.
There's going to be more Easter eggs in this system. I want to break the Guinness Book of World Records for the most Easter eggs ever in a video game system. That's going to be my goal.
Nice. Okay. Here's the one that I've got for you. You've said before that Amico is going to be the best of mobile and the best of Wii. And I just wanted to know if you could touch on that briefly. What do you see is the best thing about mobile that you're bringing to Amico? And what's the best thing about the Wii that you're bringing to Amico?
Great question. The best thing about mobile is the simplicity, the kind of the hyper casual nature. So, there's a reason 3 billion people, 2.5 to 3 billion people play super simple, casual type of experiences. So that whole, simplicity, easy to get into and understand for the most part. And then from the Wii, it's kind of the same thing. It's kind of the same, the fact that it was a console, but that it appealed to people who are not hardcore gamers, and so that, we have aspects, the motion control type stuff. Obviously we have from the similar to the Wii, we do it in a different way, but so yeah, I would say those are the two things. The appeal to non-gamers and casual and hyper casual gamers, that's probably the biggest takeaway from all of those things, and the simplicity.
Nice. I really appreciate that. Both of those things, as a parent, as an educator, I really like what you're doing with keeping it simple.
Yeah.
Okay, so this next one, I don't know if I've heard before. You've talked about focus groups, but I'm curious if you can share, what are some of the one or two of the biggest changes that you've made because of focus groups testing?
That's a great question.
that you actually could share.
You got some good questions, Jeremy. Jeez, these are. Well, it's funny because we've never actually done an interview just the two of us together, right? We've been on, you've been on certain panels and stuff, and we've met that way. But these are some great questions. Okay, so what are some of the things that we changed? There's some UI stuff, so user interface things. There were some difficulty setting things on some of the games where I'll give you a perfect example that people could picture in their mind. On our YouTube channel, we showed this game called Sideswipers. I did a demo of it where you could take the controller and you could you could see people playing on the controller and stuff. So that game was basically like the cars are going around a track, right? And you're trying to smash in. So when we did focus testing on that with hyper casual and non-gamers, their immediate reaction was, it's too fast. Because we were like, this isn't fast at all, right? So even when you think you can make it as simple as possible, they're like, it's too fast, and they're too panicked. So it's like, okay, so, let's make a level, a kind of a tutorial type of level that's even slower than that. That's maybe like half the speed. And then if those players want to play in multiplayer, then give them the ability to play in a slower mode. If grandma's over and you want to play in that kind of where the cars go a little slower and stuff. So that's one. There was also, I'm trying to get specific things because there's like overall things, but another specific thing I remember is in Shark. We had these bubbles that have kind of like mystery stuff in them, and they float up, and they kind of and we still have them in the game, but we had put a couple of different things in the bubbles, and that confused people. So they were kind of like, well, how come when I get a bubble, sometimes I get this, and then sometimes I get that? And it's like, well, because it's a mystery bubble. And, we put a question mark on it, thinking like, hey, this means, a question, like you'd see a question mark in Mario Brothers, right? You see the question mark. It's like, okay, that tells me to hit the thing, and I'm not sure what's coming out, right? But when we, for some reason, in Shark, it didn't translate with like a moving object, and it was kind of confusing people. So we're like, okay, well, let's just put the item in the bubble instead of doing a whole question mark thing and potentially like confusing, a non-gamer. So things like that. Those are just some of the little specifics.
Cool. I appreciate that. It's just nice to get a little insight into, what kind of feedback you're getting, and then, what's your response to it. So that's really cool.
Yeah.
All right. Here's one. How are you making money on digital games? Because I get the profit margin that you would get from selling the physical products. You're raising that price. I think it was up into the mid-20s range for physical media. But then for your digital, you're $2.99 to $9.99, but you still have teams of people creating these games. You've got sound, graphics, gameplay. You've got a whole lot of people putting a whole lot of time into these. And how do you make your money when a game sells for $2.99? So I'd like to hear about that.
Yeah, so there's not really going to be too many games that are selling that are going to be $2.99, $3.99, $4.99. There might be some, let's call them applications, that would be in that range. For example, let's say there was a music visualizer, right? So something like that, that's not really a game, but it's more of like a cool application. Like if you wanted to play music on and have, your TV do all this cool stuff, something like that, things like that, right, would be kind of more of the, not really the game scenario stuff. So the games are going to be more like $5.99 to $9.99 for the digital. And again, I think our average right now is around the $8 to $8.50 range. And so when you have games that aren't $10 million to make, where you're talking about a team of maybe 5 to 7 people working anywhere from 5 months to 10 months, and depending on where they are in the world, you can get budget like a more simple card game or a dice game, something like that might be $50,000 to create, right? Other games might be 100, 150, 200, 250. And so when you have a game like, let's say $100,000, let's say that, and you're selling it for $10, right? The break-even point on that is about 10,000 units, which isn't a lot of units, right? So that's how, so smaller budgets, smaller price. I mean, basically what I'm doing is I'm passing the savings onto the consumers, right? Onto the customers, which you don't see too often.
Right. And that's what you do see is that, your I'll call them competition just because they're in the video game industry. Your competitors are selling digital versions of games for $60, $80, $100,
or for free,
same as their physical,
or for free,
or for free. But then you got the freemium, so you're going to pay for it on the back end if you're buying the spending on the microtransactions and stuff. But so anyway, I appreciate that. Again, more insight into that. But that was kind of on my mind today as I was thinking about that. Well, they've got all this margin when you're selling a digital copy for $60, but then you drop that down to say $5 to $9. That's a lot tougher to make the money back.
The other thing too, Jeremy, is that our hope and vision is that people, when the prices are more lower and reasonable like that, right? Let's say $6.99, $7.99. And if we can keep that quality high, which is exactly what we want to do. We want people to feel a great sense of value and trust with us, right? So we keep that value proposition high and that trust, knowing that it's not going to be a pile of crap for $7.99 or $6.99. Then our feelings are that instead of people buying just one game a year or 2 games a year, right, for $60, or because the average spend on a console is about $120 a year. That's an average, right? Which is probably, it's like 2.5 games. That's what people spend a year. Our thoughts are that we build value, we build trust, kind of impulse purchases at that point, right? Oh, grandpa's coming over. We have the bowling game. He loves that. You know what? We haven't picked up the shuffleboard. It's $6.99 or whatever. Grandpa's going to love it. Boom, let's get it. So our thoughts are that people will buy more games on our system than they would the average platform because they're less expensive and they feel like they get a lot of value out of them, right? So going down that path, if somebody buys 5 games from us and only spends, let's say, $40, right? Well, now it's just the same as if we sold $40. And again, keep in mind, the other big difference when compared to what others do, the big difference with us is we curate and we own and we pay for everything, right? So like everything's like a first party or second party title on our platform initially, right? That's how we set it up, which means that most platforms like PlayStation, whether it's Steam, PlayStation, Switch, if you put your title on that platform, the platform takes 30% and the developer or the publisher keeps 70%. But no one's paying for them to do that. So for us, it's kind of like almost reversed for us, where we're going out and we're paying people to create stuff for us. And then we give them, we give them a smaller, a percentage on the back end as well. And it depends if there's a license attached, because if there's a big license, then we have to pay another 10 or 20% for that. So every game's a little different. So we don't have like a normal system where, okay, we're just going to take 30% and just put as much crap on our system as you want. It doesn't matter because we're getting 30%. Right? That's what the video game industry has turned into. Come on, pile in the crap. We don't care. We're only making 30% off it. We have the exact opposite of that, where we want to curate everything. We want everything to be great. We're going to pay for everything up front. So we're going to be keeping the bulk of the percentage for all of that stuff, right? Because we're the ones going out, owning the content, creating the content, designing it, doing the audio, putting the marketing dollars in, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, it's a great question, but it is a different kind of flipping it on its head from what the norms are.
Yeah. So as you are working on getting licenses, you've talked about, trying to get different licenses out there. You've mentioned here that there may be like a percentage of each sale or whatever that goes back to that. So what does that look like? Is it usually a percentage? Is it usually an upfront fee to get a license, or does it really just depend on the license holder?
No, it's definitely a big fee up front. It's a guarantee, or is it called an MG? Stands for minimum guarantee, right? So and the bigger the company and the bigger the license, the bigger the minimum guarantee is going to be. And so let's say, for example, company A has a big license that's a popular license. They may want anywhere from 15 to 25% of that. We'll keep the numbers simple. Let's say we're selling a game for $10 and they want 25%, meaning $2.50, right? And let's say they ask us for a $250,000 minimum guarantee. So that means no matter what, if we sell 1 copy or 100,000 copies, they're going to get their $250,000. Right.
So then just raise the number of units you have to sell to make your money back.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where we have to balance. Is it worth us risking $250,000, because if we feel they're going to get the money back anyway, so it's like, okay, we sell 10,000 units, right? And you get 200 at $2.50. Okay, well, that's $25,000, right? And so you can see where it kind of goes on and on and on. How it's just a numbers game. Do you feel like do you feel like it's worth the money up front? And that was an extreme case, $250,000.
Sure.
Most things might be like 100,000, and they might have 20% or something. It really depends on there's a bunch of different things that it depends on, but yeah. So again, you just do the math and say, geez, do we think we can sell 50,000 copies, in order to start making our money back?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have a question from the chat from Red Dog 356. He says, will you have a thing like Xbox and PS4 where they have like a free game of the month? Do you see doing that soon or down the road?
Potentially. There's a couple different answers to that question that I can't really talk about right now. But I mean, there is one that I have talked about, which is, you take your controller over your friend's house, connect it to the machine, and you can play your games on my games on your system. But, I mean, I think there's going to be ways that people could do that. But nothing that we've announced quite yet.
Okay. All right, I'm going to move on to next question. So what's the favorite use of the controller for minigames so far? And I want to give you some flexibility. If you can't tell us what game it's for, can you at least describe the type of minigame that's kind of your favorite one that you've been tossing around?
The minigame, you mean on the controller?
Yeah, like something you're doing on the controller. Kind of those side things like, you'd mentioned being able to like bring back somebody, in Cloudy Mountain. So what's kind of your favorite idea? And again, if you can't tell us what game it's tied to, that's cool.
Let me see. I'm going to, in order to answer that properly, I need to bring up my list of all of our games.
Do you want to screen share that?
Oh yeah, I bet. I'll show you my hater folder.
Yeah, that got a little play this week, didn't it?
It's funny, huh? What sets them off? Okay, let me see now. There's one with Moon Patrol that's really cool. Cloudy Mountain, Toe Jam and Earl. Okay, I got him. I got the two. Yeah, the two best ones are Safecracker and Bomb Squad.
Okay, can you tell us anything about those? I know you've mentioned like on Safecracker being able to kind of listen to the dial, and listening for that. So is that kind of what you're referring to?
Yeah, well, like on Bomb Squad, there is you can sometimes use on mobile, some mobile games, they have that thing where it's just like a silver ball and you're like rolling it around a maze, imagine something like that with like but it's like a circuit board and you're having to like move around something across the circuit board in order to try to unarm the certain areas of the bomb.
Okay, yeah, that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah,
I like the idea of like, especially I think you had mentioned on that one where you could have like, you have your kind of multiplayer being able to like assist. Everybody's trying to, either like disarm the same part or different pieces of the bomb at the same time. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on. Actually, it kind of ties in here. So the idea of simultaneous play, which I decided to pick up because we use couch co-op a lot, but I would say simultaneous play where we're co-op or versus. And I'm going to give you a few games that I've struggled to envision. What does this look like if it can go beyond 2-player? So if there's anything you can share, go for it. And if you can't, just say no.
All right.
So first off, Earthworm Jim 4. Okay. You've been pretty tight-lipped on that. Do you have any sense for how many players might be able to be working together on that?
4.
4-player. All right.
Earthworm Jim 4.
Oh yeah, there you go. Okay. How about Bump and Jump?
But the four. I'll say this: the 4 in Earthworm Jim. There's a lot of different reasons that it's 4. There's let's just say there might be a 4th dimension.
Ooh, interesting. Is it the dimension of time that we hear about?
No, it's not.
No, it's not time. Okay.
It's funny as hell though. And people are going to appreciate it. People are going to be like, no freaking way.
Can't wait.
Yeah.
Okay. How about Bump and Jump? Are we looking at more than 2-player on that?
I don't know yet.
And is it going to be?
We haven't started that one yet.
Haven't started that one. Okay.
Yeah, I have to play that one. I mean, we'd have to play that one. Definitely 2, probably 3. Because remember the old game was 4x3, right? Well, the original game was completely vertical, the original arcade game. Then on the home consoles, and the Intellivision version original was really great. I think a lot of people would agree with me. It was one of the best for the home consoles at the time. That one was that one was wider. So, but on 4x3 TVs. So now that we're like on 16:9, you can really widen that road. I mean, we don't have any problem doing 4 players on skiing. So, but the skiers are smaller and the mountains are bigger. So that's why I say I'm not sure, because we'd have to. How big is the road? How big are the cars? Right. But I think we could probably get. I don't want to say, but I'm hoping we can get 4. But if not, probably 3.
And at this point, then you're envisioning kind of each like a split screen, everybody kind of on their own screen, or do you envision some sort where you're all together, all on the same? Oh, cool. Yeah. Okay. Next one is baseball. Are we 2-player, or are we finding ways to bring in more?
That will be announced soon.
Cool. I love my television baseball.
Well, it's going to be something that no one has ever done before in regards to how many players.
Okay. Well, I tell you, you don't have to say anything, because I'm just going to throw out the idea that I had, and
what's that? And tell me your idea.
We'll see if it matches. Because I was like, hey, you've got up to 8 players.
That's true.
You could go a couple of different ways with that, with baseball. Okay. You could go 1 versus 1. Or what if you had a whole team of 8 on one side, and you've got a pitcher, a catcher, you've got all the, basically you have 8 players. You just cut out, center field or shortstop. Go for that.
Wouldn't that be something?
Wouldn't that be something? And then I also thought, if you can be selective and kind of, maybe you split positions. So like somebody's covering a couple of positions and they can alternate back and forth on their controller. You could go 4 versus 4, something like that.
You could go 1 versus 7. You could go 2 versus 6.
Yeah.
You could do whatever the hell you wanted to. Wouldn't that be something?
Wouldn't that be something? All right.
I've never seen that in a baseball game. Correct me if I'm wrong. I might be wrong, but I don't think anything like that has ever been done before.
I have not heard it yet, and wouldn't that be something if we did get that?
Wouldn't that be something? We're going to find out soon enough. Lance
Okay.
Jennings in the chat says, any updates on Biplanes? Yes. Here's my personal update on it. It plays so freaking awesome. So, you know, Triple Action, one of our, you know, me and my brother's favorite games. Of course, Biplanes was the standout, and Tanks was great too. And that's really why I wanted to split them apart, right? I didn't want to just call it Triple Action. Biplanes deserves a whole, whole game to itself. But one of the first things we did, the most important, and anyone on this chat who's ever played Biplanes will agree with this. That the motion of the planes in Biplanes, it has to be like perfect, right? It was so cool, you know, when you go up just the wrong amount and then you'd start to stall. And so that had to be perfect. So before we worked on anything else, we got the two planes, and the planes are actually 3D models, which is cool because we tried a couple of different things, like keep it just straight 2D. But the cool thing about using a 3D model is that when you go up and you do the loop, we can actually go up on an angle a little bit. And so like the plane turns really nice, and you can kind of see like in between the wings and stuff as it's going around its loop. It's really freaking cool. Let me see. The other thing I will say is expect to see Biplanes. Expect to see Biplanes soon.
All right, cool. Tommy, you're Tommy. Pete wants to know.
Yes.
Pete wants to know: will the Expos be in the baseball game?
Pete wishes. No, that's a great question. How do I answer this? Remember what I said earlier about things like Easter eggs and stuff? Let me just say, my wife's Canadian, my mom's Canadian, born in Canada. I have Canadian citizenship. I was born in the U.S., but because of my mom being Canadian, I'm what's called a dual citizen. And let's just say I would never leave out, Expos, Washington Senators, Brooklyn Dodgers. Wouldn't that be something?
Nice.
That would
be.
And then of
All
course
right.
I got Atari creep Chris Call. Go Sox! There he is. Where is he?
He's in there.
Chris is gonna hate me for saying this, but I don't know if he knows this or not. But of course, me and Chris are both massholes. We're up in the we both were reared in the state of Massachusetts. That sounded weird. But I'm actually a Yankees fan. I know people are gonna go crazy, but
don't they hate you enough already?
No. It's all in good fun. Look, I respect I love baseball. So the Yankees without the Red Sox and the Red Sox without the Yankees would make life boring, But the reason being is that all four of my grandparents, got from Italy, came off the boat, and they go to New York. And when you he said, Chris says it made him cry a little when he saw me in a New York Yankees cap. But listen to my story. Hold on, maybe Chris will give me a little pass here. But so all four of my grandparents were Italian. You land in Italy. It's the 19 teens. Now you got and one of the things is all the Italians played on the Yankees besides, right? So not only like they come to this new country and they're in this state of New York and city of New York, but then you got DiMaggio and Berra and Rizzuto and, you know, and on, and Mazzari, and all these different Italians would always play for the Yankees. And so growing up, you know, my dad was a big Mickey Mantle fan, his era. And growing up, all I heard was stories of Joe DiMaggio and Mickey Mantle and Yogi Berra and all these, great, amazing Italian players on the Yankees. And of course, when I'm 2-3 years old, boom, they put the Yankees hat on me, even though we had moved to Massachusetts before I was born, but I was born in Massachusetts. But I'm wearing a Yankees hat. So it's your parents, it's your family, it's your grandparents. So you kind of, sometimes you just love what your parents love,
Yeah, you got your reasons, and that's cool. Okay. Next question is, so you have physical media / games coming out. So the question I had was, does the end user have any ability to resell that or transfer ownership of the game that comes with it?
Yes.
Okay, because I figured, if you had whatever trinket or collectible, obviously you can hand that off. But you're saying you can transfer the game that goes with it.
Yes.
Cool.
I like Anthem has a great thing in chat that because I'm watching the chat, and he says, how about Rocky Marciano boxing? I mean, has anyone made a Rocky Marciano boxing game? Of course we know Mike. See, I love Mike Tyson though too, but it'd be hard to do Mike Tyson and family these days.
Right.
Rocky, somebody had to have done a Rocky Marciano video game. No, I mean, I know he's been a character, Rocky Marciano.
Okay, there's one off of Rocky in 2002, made for GameCube, PlayStation 2, and Xbox.
And what was it called?
It was just called Rocky.
What was that? Rocky Balboa though, or Rocky Marciano?
Oh, Balboa. Sorry.
Yeah, that's Rocky Balboa. I don't think there hasn't. There's never been a Rocky Marciano video game. And of course, as Chris will tell you, not only was he Italian, but he was also from Massachusetts as well. Our only undefeated heavyweight champion. He was from Brockton, Massachusetts. They called him the Brockton Blockbuster. So Rocky Marciano, I wouldn't that be something? I mean, I'm saying that, but I haven't. I'm thinking of it now. But that's a great one, Anthem. I've made it. Wait, hold on. It's going to make it officially. Are you ready? Here it is, the official Wonka book. I am putting in right now. Anthem can take credit for this if it ever happens.
Does he get a credit at the end of the game?
Absolutely. Rocky Marciano boxing. There you go. He's Italian and he's from Massachusetts. All right.
You heard it here first, Anthem. We got you.
There you go.
Okay. Next one up. So you've talked a lot about the Earthworm Jim team.
Yes.
And just how awesome it is for you guys to come together. You did Global Gladiators, Cool Spot, Aladdin, Earthworm Jim 1 and 2.
Everything 2. And
now you're back.
Mm-hmm.
So the question is, do you have any consideration towards, is the team looking at, hey, after this one, we want to do this together? Do you have any future projects that the team's kind of like, yeah, we want to do something else together on,
Totally.
And follow up, are we going to see any of those old, those other titles that I mentioned? Might we see?
We don't. We
Cool
don't.
Spot or
Disney owns Aladdin, obviously. The 7-Up character, they don't really have anymore. They 7-Up still owns it, but they're not promoting it, so it would be very. I don't think they'd probably give us the lights. And then the other one was Global Gladiators, which is McDonald's. Maybe we would talk to McDonald's about bringing something like that back, but it really didn't have any McDonald's. Ronald McDonald was in it, like
Yeah.
at the end of the level, but it wasn't really based around like Grimace and the Hamburglar or anything.
And if it were, it might not have been as good a game.
Well, there was another McDonald's game out there that kind of sucked. But yeah, we would probably do something new and unique. We wouldn't rely on kind of the old licenses. That's kind of why we did Earthworm Jim in the first place, was because, you know, we did McDonald's, then we did 7-Up, then we did Disney with Aladdin, and we were kind of like, you always have to follow the strict rules of the people who own this stuff. And so we were like, why don't we just create our own thing? Then we don't have to listen to anybody's rules, you know? But
yeah. Now, is there anything from so you've worked on more video games than anybody. So you've got a huge library, including Color Dinosaur. Chuckle.
My favorite.
So is there anything from your personal library that you could see, like, yeah, we should Amico-fy this game and bring it forward?
Let me see. I'm going to go to Tallarico.com right now. It's a good question. I haven't really thought about it. I'm going to Tallarico.com and I'm going to go to video games and see all the video games I've worked on. I haven't seen this list in a while, so I'm seeing, let me see, Tony Hawk Pro Skater, Spider-Man, Tomorrow Never Dies. I mean, I could do that. Wild 9 would be a fun one to bring back. Wild 9 was one, well, the same folks who own Earthworm Jim own Wild 9, Interplay. Let me see, the Test Drive series is Twisted Metal, PC, Unreal. No, we couldn't do that on ours. Seventh Guest, that might be an interesting one. Seventh Guest, I'm still good friends with those guys, Rob Landeros. That might be an interesting one. A Bard's Tale. That would be interesting. Let's see, Advent Rising. Advent Rising just got sold. Did you see that?
Really?
Somebody just bought Advent Rising from Majesco. The rights to it. Somebody sent that to me on Twitter like 2 or 3 days ago.
Just make sure they reach out to you for the music.
Clay Fighter might be an interesting one. Out of This World was a really great one I worked on. If people remember that one in the early 90s. Chuck Rock. Did you guys ever play Chuck Rock? Anyone remember that one? That was a cool one, Chuck Rock.
Well, cool. Anyway, it's just kind of a thing, like you do have a vast library back there. So just kind of curious if you look through that sometime and see if there's anything else that we need to bring to the Amico besides Earthworm Jim.
Cool.
So Atari Creep, Chris has a good question on the selling your physical media. Is there anything to prevent you from just going out and loading it onto your buddy's systems? Is there something in your back end that says, nope, this is already tied to one user? Or, how do you make sure that somebody isn't just, basically handing it out to everybody?
So the thing with physical media is that it will be tied to a machine. So it would have to be, it'd have to be untied and then.
Okay. So it's like on your home machine, you've got to untie it. And then when you take it to a different machine, it'll say, okay, yeah, this one's free to go.
Yeah, and the reasons for that is what we're doing. We're building our system really a lot around, and this ties into our physical media and all this stuff. It's first of all, we're here in the 21st century now, right? And we're really in this strange time in the video game industry, in that we're right in the middle now, aren't we? Where like some stuff's digital, some stuff's physical, and we're trying to do something completely unique where, hey, look, you can take your controller over somebody's house and you can play their games, right? So like this amazing like sharing thing, right? So we're really having to invent something that's no one's done before. And part of the reason we're doing that is to ensure that no matter where the industry goes over the next 7 to 10 years, because we all have no idea, right? That we're able to pivot either way, right? And so we've had to design the system around the ability to shift if we need to, right? Because we don't want to just do it one way and then build our whole thing around just this one way. And people are like, yeah, it sucks. It doesn't have any physical media at all. Well, that it's digital only. Oh, I hate that. Like so many times I've seen on YouTube channels or like comments that people will make or something like, and you hear them all the time. They say, well, if it's all digital, I don't want anything to do with it. You know, so people are still kind of in that mindset of I don't know why my camera's going out of there it is, out of focus. But anyway, so we're taking a really smart approach to it because we don't know what's going on. JW Durbin asked, is Antstream coming to Amico? It's interesting that they reached out to me last year, and it was right after Atari had announced that Antstream was coming to the VCS. We're not sure. I mean, it is a subscription service that kind of goes against what we're about initially. And also we don't want people to think that it's just a retro machine, right? So I'm not opposed to eventually putting Antstream on Amico. I just don't know if it would be out of the gate, because it's really important that we establish ourselves as something that's unique and different and like that. But I'm not against the idea. I think they got a great thing over there at Antstream, and I'm sure it's going to be on all of the platforms. So, yeah.
Cool. So, kind of going back to what you were saying about the physical and digital media, it is really neat what you're doing, where you've described, being able to take your controller to your friend's house, tap on their Amico, and you get to play your games now at their house. That's super cool. But now it does make it more complicated for you, because now you've got to manage, what does it look like to have a shared game versus an owned game, on a system. And so I appreciate the effort to make it shareable so you can, easily just bring it over and say, hey, let's play this game. It's super cool. But then knowing that you've got some more work to do on the back end to make it so you can do that without just giving away all your games for free.
Right. And the other thing too, again, that people could recognize as well is that, again, we're not $50, $60, $70 games, right? And the physical media that we do have is going to be like a cool collectible thing anyway, right? So like you buy Call of Duty, and it comes in a plastic case, and that's it, right? And so you put it in, and then you say, okay, I'm sick of this, and I want to just give it to my friend. Like there's no attachment. Once you've played it and beat it, there's not really too much of an attachment to that packaging or what's inside and this and that. But we're not doing that, right? We're doing something that's cool and limited and collectible. So and inexpensive compared to other stuff, right? So we don't think there's going to be too much of an issue of, man, I got this super cool Earthworm Jim 4 physical media thing for $24.99 or $19.99 or whatever. and I finished the game. So yeah, I don't care anymore. I'm gonna untie it to my machine and give it to somebody else. You could do that, but we don't think that the type of folks who are going to be collecting physical media, because at that point, well, why didn't you just buy the $9.99 version, right? Why not buy the digital version? The reason they would have bought the physical version is because they wanted to get the cool special limited stuff, right? So yeah, it's an interesting thing what we're creating here, because it is something that's pretty new.
Yeah, and what I really like about it is, what's the downside of digital is you don't get anything to hold, right? And so, like, if you're given, and this console is, it's meant to be kid friendly, and kids want something to open on Christmas. They want something to open on their birthday, and so you'll buy them that physical thing. So they open it. It's like, oh, cool, I got this, and it's also a game, So I really like that piece of it.
Well, again, think of grandma or mom at Walmart buying a birthday present for the 7-year-old, and she's going to buy the system, and then let's buy some games for it as well, like physical games that they can wrap or open up or put in a Christmas stocking or put in an Easter basket, whatever, right?
Yeah, it's not fun to just give the Amico gift card. You want to give them something that's really, it's a thing. It's a tangible thing that they can hold.
And for me, even like the last couple of generations, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, when you collect something and it's special, it means something, right? Like the physical media that exists today for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and the Switch, there's nothing special about it except that it's in a plastic case, right?
It's in a plastic case that doesn't have as good art as our Intellivision games did.
Right, exactly, right? So if you're gonna do physical media in this day and age, I don't think the answer is, oh, let's just put it in a plastic case, right?
Yeah.
And so that's my feeling on it all is physical media is going to be something that is collectible and that people are going to like,
Cool. So I have a follow-up on the bringing your controller to your friend's house. I'm going to throw a scenario out to you, and I want to hear your response. So let's say I got my friend Pete, who lives up in Canada.
Okay.
And we set up a deal. We're each going to buy an extra controller.
Mm-hmm.
And we're gonna say, hey, you buy these 10 games. I'm gonna buy these other 10 games.
Yep.
And we're gonna mail
each other. I know where
this
is going.
So we'll mail each other our controllers, so that we can have that extra controller on our game, and then we can always play those extra games.
Yep.
Does that work, or do you have is that?
Well, the issue is that you won't be able to play your machine. The games that you give him, you won't be able to play on your machine.
Oh, okay. So even if you have two controllers, say, on your system, they're both paired to your machine, and one of them goes to your friend's house, your machine can't be played at home, or those games can't be played at home?
The games that you're playing at your friend's house couldn't be played on your system at home. Okay, you can only play one game at a time.
Okay. So even in your own household, if you got two Amicos, you can't both play Cloudy Mountain. It's one's Cloudy Mountain and one's...
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Assuming you've got a single account tied to both machines.
Well, because because it's two games at that point, right? Forget, let's say, for example, forget the digital part of it. If you had two PlayStation 4s in your home and you both wanted to play Red Dead Redemption, you need the disc to play Red Dead Redemption, right? So you'd have to buy a second copy for that second machine as well. Well, I guess some games you wouldn't have to, but yes, but for us, again, $7, $8, $9 you know, if people are going to go through that length to save $7, okay, they could,
Sure.
you know,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, next question from me. This is so you have just, you know, I don't know what to call you, but you work in video game music, right? That's you're the video game music guy as far as I'm concerned. So what about music-based games coming to Amico? And you know, when I think of music-based games, I'm thinking back some of the favorite ones I played: Karaoke Revolution, you know, Guitar Hero, Rock Band, that sort of stuff. Is there stuff like that we'll be able to see on Amico?
Yes.
And can you give us any further insight?
There'll be music in those games.
There will be music in those games.
God,
and
worse.
Cool.
What the heck's going on with my? Oh, there it is. Okay.
Now, what's the licensing look like for that? Do you have to go license every track, or are there like libraries you can buy into?
No. I mean, that's a lot of what I helped out with in the Guitar Hero games, the originals, was getting some getting licenses. I mean, even the Aerosmith game, if you can imagine, you know, Aerosmith was the very first band game for Guitar Hero or Rock Band and all those things. Aerosmith was the first. We did Guitar Hero 1, Guitar Hero 2, and the next thing was Guitar Hero Aerosmith. Huh? Coincidence? I don't think so.
All right. I'm going to move on. So this question actually came from our Amico All Access over on Open Every Box this afternoon. And we said, let's bring this up. So I shared on that chat. I actually work in schools as a school principal. And we have Richard Haywood, who was on that chat. He works in educational tech. Okay. And so we were talking about this over on Pete's channel about, you know, just kind of what a home run the Amico is for schools. You know, and so I can look at my school. We have a Wii at my school, and in every school that I've worked in.
And what are you using the Wii for in your school?
So we still use it for incentives for kids. Okay. So we use it. So like the kids, you know, got a goal to get this work done. And then they meet that goal, which they've been struggling on. And then they earn some time. They can go play, you know, they can earn some time playing the Wii with a friend or, you know, a staff member, you know, whatever that looks like. So that's really the role that it's been in. It's been more of an educational, or like not education, but more of like that reward, that incentive, that break time. Mm-hmm. But I can tell you that, you know, beyond working with students, you know, most of the schools that I've worked in, we have had, you know, staff parties and get-togethers after hours, and we've had like Wii Sports, you know, socials where, you know, get the staff together and everybody, you know, most teachers are not gamers, but they would get up and they would play the Wii bowling. You know, they would play the Wii Sports. They would get up and do that, and it was a whole lot of fun. So I see. Not only just the social part for adults, but for kids. Like if I'm a principal, which I am, so I look at like what dangers does this pose to the students if I bring it into my school, right? Mm-hmm. And so like even with the Wii, there was some, you know, there's some online interaction. There were some apps that get you in, like you could have Netflix on there, you could, and that can, you know, then it's whatever's allowable on your account, right?
You got Netflix on the Wii?
Yeah, right? There was a Netflix app on the Wii. Yeah, I don't think
Netflix was around then.
Yeah. So you had some, but you had some things you had to worry about, and you know they made games like Call of Duty for the Wii. Which why did they do that? I have no idea. Yeah. But they, you know, but they put some of that on there. What the Amico does is it keeps all of the great aspects of the Wii, like the motion controls, the kid-friendly, you know, content, but it removes a lot of all the negatives that I can think of for education, where there's no online interactions, there's no chance to buy stuff, right. There's nothing over E10. So really, the content is not something you have to worry
shovelware.
About. There's no shovelware. No shovelware. You know, that's my big thing as an educator. No shovelware. No, but it really does make it so. And the price is great too. for education, where really any building principal anywhere can find a few $100s to try out an Amico. And if they find in one classroom, hey, look at how we've applied this and it's amazing and it's doing all these things. And hey, we haven't even talked about edutainment yet. There's all those titles that could be like legitimate learning opportunities for kids. Even if you went for 10 teachers in a building and you're spending $3,000, to get a console plus 10 games, for example, to put into 10 classrooms, $3,000 is not a huge amount of your budget. So I'm just saying that could be a win. And what my question from all that lead up is, can you share anything about potential marketing that you might be doing with educators in schools?
Yeah, so we have a person dedicated to putting together, reaching out and putting together things like that. For us, the main thing right now, the main goal right now is getting the machine out, making sure it works, trying to get it out as on 10/10, hopefully, if not as soon as possible, making sure everything works, making all the games fun and this and that. So really our goal, and I can't stress this enough, that's our biggest and most important goal, right? Is getting it out, making sure it's great, and this is one of the things that Jay Allard, our global, our global, one of our, global director is, really kind of pounds into us all the time is, we have all these things that we want to do and so many great things, but if we don't do the basics the best, like let's not do the basics kind of 80% or 90%, let's get the basics. So the stuff that you're mentioning is absolutely like, we want to do. But we look at this as we have 7 to 10 years, right? And we're going to, we might be adjusting on the fly as we go. Like we might find out after the first year that everybody loves the retro stuff and they just want to play more retro stuff. Oh shoot, let's do 30% retro reimagined or 40% retro reimagined. And maybe we find that no one really likes the casual card games and dice games, but man, parents are they just payment stuff but we're only focused on 2 to 7 year olds. So let's do some edutainment, language learning and all these different things. So we're going to learn about what people gravitate to on the fly. So for us, putting a lot of, because your idea is amazing and brilliant and we're thinking along those lines, but like, do we dedicate time, money, resources, budget to that before the machine comes out, before we start to understand who's buying it and why they're buying it and what those people are gravitating towards? So to answer your question, I'd love to do that. We have a person on staff who's going to be focused on those types of things. We think it's a huge area that is missing, right? And same thing with like hospitals. Like we've partnered with an organization, and they supply video game systems for hospitals. And when you sit down to those people and you say, what are the biggest challenges? And it's very simple. They say, well, look, the biggest challenges with putting an Xbox in a hospital is this. One, nurses don't have time to be tech support, right? They have, if anybody knows anyone in the medical field, or if they're a nurse themselves or married to a nurse or has a relative that's a nurse, you'll know that nurses are way overworked. Like they're like the most amazing people, and they take care of, but they're always like, there's always too much going on. The last thing they want to do is like try to like figure out, navigate the menu screen of a PlayStation, right? So the complexity is tough in hospitals. And the second thing is, if there's a 9-year-old in the hospital and they're playing Halo, the parent could get very upset, right? Because it's, so they have to curate content that's on in the hospital. Is it teen rated? Is it, now we have to teach nurses about the ESRB rating system. So those are two big challenges that hospitals have in getting in video game systems, hardware. Now, what do you know about Intellivision, Jeremy? Does Amico have those two issues? Zero, right? No. So we could literally sell 1 million Amicos just in hospitals, right? So and we even have on our advisory board, we have the CTO, chief technical, or chief, I don't want to say it wrong, but we have a really important person he's like one of the lead guys for the American Medical Association, the AMA. I mean, you've seen their logo. It's the snake, going up. Yeah. I mean, it's the biggest. It's every single doctor in the entire United States is in this club, is in this organization, right? And the guy on our board of directors, or our advisory board, is one of the biggest guys in that organization. And so these are the types of things we're always thinking outside of the box, and we think there's a lot of open space that folks haven't ever focused on in the video game industry. Hospitals is a big one. Education in the schools is a big one. Nursing homes are a big one. And again, we saw the Wii go into nursing. Like, some of this stuff happened naturally, right? Nursing homes were buying the Wiis because it was a great thing, and they can go bowling. But what if we focused on that? What if we went out and instead of like, getting lucky and people bought one because they saw it, what if we made games for retired folks, right? That was cognitive games, brain training games to keep their minds sharp, hobby things that they would love. What if we
Are you gonna brand it Tutor Vision?
You could do that. The old Intellivision Tutor Vision. But you see what I'm saying? So you hit on a really great point there. The answer is yes. And again, if I had in a perfect world and limitless money, I'd have a whole division of our company instead of just like one person doing it part-time because they have a million other things they're doing. I'd have a whole division of people working on this stuff, right now. But we have to walk before we run. But yeah, that's a great question. I haven't really talked too much about that in the past, so I'm glad you brought that up.
And I'll just say I feel like it's a home run area for you because the safety of the kids is the top priority of the school, right? We got safety first, and then we got learning, and so you've got a machine that can promise both. Totally. And it's a reasonable cost for education. So it's a huge win for us. And I'll just say the last thing on this for me is like the Wii consoles that are still out in schools are probably the only thing out there that's older than our computers. So it's time for 15 years.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And again, focusing on that stuff instead of it being an afterthought, right? Or not the focus. And I just want to say one thing to the Atari creep. And by the way, people listening, if you're not, the Atari creep has an amazing channel. Make sure you subscribe to him, OEB Pete, Anthium, Two Tails. folks you'll see in the chat, and they got great Amico channels. Of course, Jeremy's as well here too. But one of the things that I wanted to mention to Chris about the Atari creep, because he's very tuned in to the Alzheimer's thing, and they did a great study about 2 years ago, and it showed that people suffering from Alzheimer's, when they played video games every day, it was slowing that by 30%. 30%. Wow. And so, so Chris mentioned brain training games for Alzheimer's. Well, I can tell you that we do, in fact, on launch, have a brain training game, and it is the it's when they did what was that very famous Japanese? I don't want to screw his name up out of respect. He's a very famous Japanese doctor that they had for brain age. What was his? Do you know who I'm talking about?
I don't.
Let me see. I'm going to Google it because I want to give him respect and I don't want to screw up his name. Brain age, but he was like the doctor who. Oh, Dr. Kawashima. So brain age was known as Dr. Kawashima's brain training, and he's very important in this field. And so the game that we're working on is also in Dr. Kawashima's world. I'll leave it at that. But we take cool. That stuff really important and serious. So yeah.
All right. So now we're to the section where I've got questions to throw at you that we picked up from the different groups, people from the Intellivision Facebook groups and stuff like that. So C-Mart, he said you got to throw out the hard-hitting questions to Tommy. So here's the hard question, and I focused on the word hard. Where
I bet it has something to do with Canada.
No, nothing to do with Canada.
No? Okay.
I decided to take this very literally today. So they have the Mohs hardness scale, which is what you use to figure out how hard different minerals are. Okay. And so you might remember, like, this one can scratch the other one, but not the other one. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So the question I have is, where does the Amico console shell fall on the hardness scale? How does it hold up to scratches?
It's funny because one of the I don't want to ruin the surprise. The video that is the next video we do will be, and it's very funny, will be answering that question. I'll leave it at that.
Okay, C-Mart, you're gonna get an answer. Perfect. So there's my hard-hitting question was on the hardness of the console.
Yeah, we have all the plastic shots in too, by the way. We already have them in, and they look beautiful. It's really great.
Nice. Okay, so my brother Blues Tech. He's got a question.
Aaron, right?
Aaron, yeah. So, what is your most treasured memory from working on video games?
So many. I mean, the Earthworm Jim team was special just because there was 10 of us on the team and it was like a brotherhood. We were all very dear friends, and we have worked together every day for 5 years, 12, 15 hours a day sometimes. And we were all such good friends. And so when that, like Tony Hawk was cool, an amazing team to work on. But I wasn't as tight with those guys as I was, with that shiny team. So it makes it special to me because same team of people, 5 games, in a row, 5 years in a row, 5 best game of the years, 5 audio of the years, 5 best art of the years. And I've never heard or seen that ever happen before. So that was some magical stuff. So I think from an emotional and personal standpoint, what we all achieved with an Earthworm Jim is something that's very special to us. And the great thing is, I mean, I probably shouldn't say this, but just this week, here's another exclusive for you, Jeremy. Just this week, we added another original Earthworm Jim and, Shiny, whatever, team member to our full-time Intellivision crew. So there's 10 people on the team. One of them passed away, so there's 9 of us left. And let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the 9 are internal, and 2 more are remote, working for us at Intellivision. So imagine, we just got the 7th team member is now working full-time at Intellivision. So
that's awesome.
Crazy.
And
right?
It's got to be so cool to so you had this great experience. You got 5 games together, and they're, just remarkable game. It's a remarkable series of games. So to have that much success prolonged over that span of time, and then to be able to come back, like it's just got to be like amazing to be able to work with the same group of guys again.
Totally.
So that totally makes sense.
BRT Technologies has the most epic question ever that no one's ever asked. He said, "Who yokoed that team up?" Very funny and interesting question. And when you hear the answer, no one's ever asked this ever. This is a world exclusive. People need to write about this because no one's ever asked this question. And I'm going to give you the real answer. I'm not going to pull any punches. And your mind is going to be blown when you hear the answer. Are you ready for the answer?
I'm ready.
The answer to who yokoed up that team, Steven Spielberg. Not even joking.
All right. Do we get any detail?
So after Earthworm Jim, of course, Doug went on to, and I remember meeting Steven Spielberg with Doug at E3, showing the first game. Spielberg's a huge fan of Earthworm Jim. His kids were big fans of Earthworm Jim. And so Spielberg and Doug ended up connecting after Earthworm Jim 2 because they did the TV commercial, or the cartoon, Saturday morning cartoon. But then they ended up funding Doug to do one of his projects, The Neverhood. So the money kind of came from Spielberg and his team, and so Doug left Shiny, and he took Mike Dietz with him, who's now the Intellivision art director, Ed Schofield, who's another Intellivision now artist, and so he kind of took half the team. Not half the team, but like 3 or 4 of the team members. And then the other team started working on MDK after that, including me. So yeah, there's the answer. The answer
All
is,
right.
If not for Steven Spielberg, would we have made Earthworm Jim 3? I don't know, maybe. So that's a great one. I never told that story.
Cool. Thank you. Okay, so here's one from Robert Markham, who's from George Games. That's George with a Q. He says, are the different controllers limited to the store that sells the console? So like Galaxy Purple at GameStop, can you buy the purple controller somewhere else? So you do have to buy it. You buy the purple controllers from GameStop, just like the console. Okay. All right, that was a quick one. Okay, moving down. Lance Jennings he posted this on Intellivision Invasion. He said, will the Las Vegas poker and blackjack shifty-eyed dealer make a return?
Got to.
And then could he possibly show up as a boss or a character in other card games like Mario used to show up all over Nintendo?
Look, the shifty-eyed dealer has to show up in every gambling card game on Amico. Absolutely.
All right.
I just thought of something though. One of the big card games. It's not a gambling game at all, but one of the big card games he's currently not in. Now I have to hold on. We got the Wonka book going.
All right, we got put the shifty-eyed dealer in this
we
game.
We got to put the shifty-eyed dealer, even if it's an Easter egg.
Even if he's flying across the screen in the background, shouting "Moo,"
like the cow in Earthworm Jim.
Like the cow, yeah. Hey guys, I love that we are contributing to Tommy's Wonka book. This is awesome. So, and as you're recording that, I have a follow-up on the Las Vegas Poker and Blackjack. I'm curious. So this game's confirmed, correct?
What's that?
Poker and Blackjack?
No,
not necessarily. Okay.
I mean, we're gonna do a poker game, and I don't know if it's called Las Vegas Poker and Blackjack. I don't know if it's going to be called that, but
you have to pay the city of Las Vegas
because they didn't have Texas Hold'em in that.
Yeah, true.
And Texas Hold'em's the cool game that you're going to want to play. So it might be, poker and Texas Hold'em or something. Like I don't know yet. We're still working that out.
Okay. And then so my question on there is so with your card games, let's just say it that way, with the poker style card games, will you have the ability to progress or have some sort of journey, hey, you start with your money this time, you save it, there's a way to save it, and so you pick up where you left off. Maybe you're in a tournament, who knows, Yep. Okay, cool.
And unlockables as well too.
And unlockables, nice.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay. Lance Jennings also asked, what about Magic games? Which Magic games might be available at launch, if any?
A Safecracker. I don't think Microsurgeon is going to be. I'm trying like crazy to get Microsurgeon on launch, but I don't think it's going to be. Hold on. Same with so I'll tell you the ones that we're working on. Demon Attack, Microsurgeon, Beauty and the Beast. Those are the ones that were a Safecracker. Those are the ones that we're actively working on. Like I'd say, call those tier 1. Tier 2 is things like Dragonfire, Swords and Serpents. Ice Trek. What else?
Somebody said Dracula.
Oh yeah, Dracula. Thank you. Yes. Yeah. So that's kind of.
You mentioned Demon Attack.
Yep, Demon Attack's in tier 1.
Cool.
Yeah.
Sure. Oh, that's right. Yeah, there we go.
Yep.
Cool. All right. Let's see. Next,
it's our Galaga.
Yeah, there you go.
Like Space Armada was our Space Invaders ripoff.
Okay. Any chance we see Space Hawk?
Oh, Truckin'. Thank you, Christian. Yes, that's a tier 2 because Christian, C-Mart knows how much Paul Nerman loves trucking. So yeah, we're not going to be able to do an Amico Intellivision console without Paul pushing trucking every day.
Okay, so what about
Whitewater's another good one.
What about Space Hawk? That's a question from Thomas Burke on Intellivision Invasion.
Yeah, Thomas is great. I like his comments. He's a good big supporter of ours. So Space Hawk's an interesting one because, of course, the person who created that was Bill Fisher, and Bill is one of the VPs at Intellivision now, Intellivision Entertainment. Of course, he worked on B-17 Bomber and Space Spartans first, so we would probably, put that. But, Space Hawk would be interesting, and we would have Bill do it. But it was supposed to be he tells a great story about this, but, it was really supposed to be kind of like an Asteroids ripoff. And it didn't come out the way he was wanted it to because of time and budget and money and what they wanted to try to accomplish and stuff. So it would be interesting to make Space Hawk with Bill, but it's currently not on our plans. But the fact that the guy who made it is one of our VPs, probably has a better chance than most.
Yeah. Okay, so the next one's an interesting question. This is from Marcus Mackey from Intellivision Invasion, and it's actually related to a video that I did. You've seen my Wouldn't That Be Something series.
Yes, I love it.
So one of my first ones was, what if we got Sega titles on the Amico? And so that's actually Marcus's question. So what are the chances of us pursuing IPs from Sega, Hudson Soft, Cinemaware, so things like Sonic or Alex Kidd, Defender of the Crown? What's the likelihood there?
Yeah, we don't have any of those deals now, but it's on my to-do list. Yeah, for sure. Okay. And I've had conversations with Sega. I've been talking to Sega probably for about a year and a half now. Just on and off about stuff. So they're familiar with I go way back with Sega. In fact, a lot of people may not know this. I was the first American to ever be hired to work on this Sonic franchise. That was kind of cool.
Nice.
But yeah.
Which Sonic game was that again?
Oh, I don't want to say.
All right, we'll move along. Chat, you can drop it down there.
Basically, when you give Sonic the Hedgehog a sword, you're pretty much jumping the shark at that point.
Okay, next question comes
Lance
from
Jennings says Star Strike with a question mark.
Oh, Star Strike.
One of my faves. Okay, fine. We ripped off the Death Star run, but yeah, I definitely want to do Star Strike. Hey, look at it. Bill Fisher is in the chat right now. Bill.
Oh, there we
Bill
go.
Knows. There he is. There's the guy who created Star Strike right there. Bill, I hope I answered that question okay. Tell me if I didn't. But, I think, I think I answered it pretty good. Like, if you're going to do it with the original guy. I think it has a good chance. So me and Bill haven't really talked about it. I think in passing, we might maybe a line here, a line there. I mean, we've been working together now for almost 2.5, 3 years. But yes, that's the dude that made B-17 Bomber. Everybody, let's give a standing ovation for Mr. Bill Fisher in the house right now. There you go.
I see the Intellivision shirt.
That's right.
All right. And Atari Creep, Chris mentions Vector Man, which I also put in my video. I think Vector Man would be an awesome Amico game. But you just got to figure out, what do you do for multiplayer? How do you bring it to the Amico?
Well, I think
all right. So
okay.
It probably is. Yeah. It's just okay. Next question is from Brock Frazier, also from Intellivision Invasion. So he says, where are you planning on putting retail displays? Because the Space Bar Arcade in Boise is potentially interested.
Vector Man would be. Oh wait, sorry. Where's Brock again?
So it's just it's an off the air question. So it's one he submitted. So it's where are you planning on putting retail displays? Space Bar Arcade in Boise is potentially interested.
So initially we're just going to be in like big retailers. So they would have to, I don't know the answer to that just because I don't deal with that part of the business too much in regards to, because you have like these, they're called 3PL providers. So my VP of sales would have the answer to that question, and I don't know it.
Okay.
I know, but I do know that initially we're just focused on the big ones right now, but that obviously we want to get into the smaller mom and pop stores all over the place. I mean, that's a big goal of ours. But again, it's one of those things we got to walk before we run. If we spread ourselves too thin coming out of the gate, and we, too many accounts, too many this, too many that. So we have to do this, we have to do the most important things 100% out of the gate, but yeah.
Yeah. So next one is from Jason, Sokol, from Golden Galaxies Gaming. So he said, the Namco games, they seem to be on every console. Is there any chance that we get licensed and get them Amico-fied? And says it could be cool to see Pac-Man with like a versus mode where it's you versus the people on your couch are the ghosts.
Wouldn't that be something?
Hey, I'll take that. He suggested also in that list, Dig Dug, Galaga, Mappy.
Pac-Man's the big one first.
Pac-Man's the big one.
That'd be the one if we were talking to Namco, you would imagine that you'd have to go with Pac-Man first.
Yeah,
but yes, all those other ones are great.
Can I just say, I don't want to ruin the relationship, but stay away from Pac-Man 2. I've recently gotten I've gotten sent to me in my Video Game Monthly box. Pac-Man 2 for the Super Nintendo and for Genesis in the last month. And no, let's just stick with the arcade. The original was great.
Relic Gamer's on to something.
What's he got?
Pac-Man Battle Royale is awesome, he said. I agree.
Oh, nice.
So you could play the ghosts, you could play each other, you could play lots of things. Yeah. We've been talking to Namco for a while.
Cool. Okay, so the next question is from Lars Chigi. So apologies if I mess up anybody's name tonight. He posted this on the Intellivision Amico and Gaming Community Facebook page. What is the percentage of games that you think will be on physical media, just roughly?
Eventually, or out of the gate?
Sure. Let's say eventually. What do you envision?
I mean, I'd love to get at least half. I think out of the gate, you're looking at about 30%.
Okay, so starting at 30, wanting to slide to 50.
I mean, I'd love to slide to 100, but again, this, I'm trying to be conservative. But yeah, I'd love to get it to 100%. But I'm, being a realist, trying to give a best, most accurate answer I can. Yeah, it would probably like 50%. Again, we want them to be special. We want them to be like, I want C-Mart to hold one of these in his hand and put it on his shelf and go, that's freaking cool.
Absolutely. Okay. Next question comes from Slappy Marsden.
Oh, Slappy. Slappy is the most epic photoshopping machine. If anyone's been on my personal Facebook page, you'll see like Keanu Reeves in a Rebel shirt. You'll see so many amazing things. Conan was the last one he did. He's just unbelievable. And he takes major pokes at our favorite two podcasters all the time, which is very funny. So yeah, Slappy's the best. But go ahead.
Cool. So here's his question: is where on the console are you putting your signature on the Founders Editions?
He's asked me this before. So okay, so here we go. Now, if I was a pretentious douche, I would probably sign it, somewhere around here or somewhere around there. But I don't want to screw up people's stuff. So, we were going to sign it, like down here and like, a nice gold or silver or something like that. That was my thought, because we got to put the number on it as well, right? So I'm going to hand number every single one of these things. So 1-2600, and then Tommy Tallarico, and then 2-2600 Tommy Tallarico, 3-, so this is a nice wide flat surface, and it's out of the way and people will know about it. Now Slappy has asked me to do it here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I mean,
and that's honestly what I was envisioning, was it would be right up front. So somebody walks in, you've got your Founders Edition sitting out there on the counter, and boom, right in front, you can see that signature from Tommy Tallarico.
I mean,
wow, you're a founder.
This. Maybe I'll do this. I mean, we have the email addresses of all 2,600 founders. Maybe I'll just send out a poll to 2,600 people and say, would you want it here? We could have a multiple choice. Do you want it here? Do you want it here? Do you want it on the back? And then majority wins.
Nice. So now on the bottom, is there enough clearance where you're not going to have any rubbing on that signature?
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. If you can.
I think I saw feet down there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. You've got it. Yeah, it's recessed a little bit. Okay.
Yeah, it's recessed, and that's for airflow too, as well.
Because that's my only concern with it being on the bottom is, potentially, you slide the console in and out over time, so it looks like the wear will be on the sides and not that middle surface.
Yeah, exactly. And people should take a good look at this, because it's going away soon. Meaning,
you're getting your new prototype.
Yeah, I've been showing people this, and this is like the old one. The back's different now, and this is all just like all the gray area is just 3D printed stuff. But Bill knows. Bill's actually seen it. The brand new ones. Bill has seen the shots, the plastic shots in the office. So Bill can jump on there and say how cool they are too. But yeah.
Nice. Okay.
I just don't have one at my home yet. It's at the office because we we got certain ones in, and it's important that, like, this is like secondary, having one to show in interviews and stuff. But yeah.
All right. So
but
here's
I'll get one
another question.
Eventually.
Another question from Robert Markham is, you've got focus on launch titles right now. Are you already lining up indie developers, or are you kind of waiting till after launch to work on getting more developers?
No, we're working on major developers all the time. I mean, we just reached out to 5 last week.
And indie developers as well?
Oh, all indie developers, yeah.
All indie. Okay, cool. And then his follow-up question he had was, do you have a Tetris type game lined up? Or Tetris itself, I guess I would say. And do you have interest in getting one that has features that haven't been done before? Because it sounds like he may have one he'd like to connect with you on. From
the answer to that would be yes. We are to have him contact us.
Cool. So Robert, reach out.
If you go on IntellivisionAmico.com on the contacts page, there's a special thing for developers. So if you're a developer, you can hit that. So I mean, I'm watching in the chat here, and I see Relic Gamer and an Atari Creep. I'm seeing a bunch of people who prefer the signature on the front. Now I don't know if I've.
Oh yeah, that's me too. I think it needs to be up front, because that's the thing is what sets you apart if you got the Founders Edition is largely that signature, right? Yeah. And so if you've got your console just sitting on the shelf, nobody sees the signature if it's on the bottom.
Okay, is there anybody in the chat? Right. Okay, so here I want everybody in the chat right now and there's 43 people watching, so I expect to see 43 answers. Would you prefer, and so I just want you to write one word: front or bottom? Would you prefer signature on the front or bottom?
Hey guys, we are deciding important things right now. We'll
3,
tally it.
4-0, 5-0, 6-0. 7, 8. Jesus. Okay. Well, I screwed that up. See, now I'm doing real-time focus testing. I'm glad I did this.
So hey, well, I'm glad we asked the question. And yeah, that's so cool. Oh yeah, and I like Sean's suggestion here. Signature on front or bottom, but the number on the bottom. That makes total sense to me. I don't.
That's what I was thinking as well. I was thinking that same thing and then I read his thing. I'm like, that's exactly what it was in my brain too. Is you could do the signature on the front and then the number on the bottom.
Okay. So question.
Okay, Night Monkey had to screw it up and say side.
So question from Lance, another one. Did you guys finalize the memory size?
Yes.
And do we know what that is?
We're saving it for
later.
You'll know soon.
Okay. We'll know soon. All right. And he also says any update on B-17 Bomber, the reimagined.
Is there an update on it?
Yeah.
No, just that we're gonna make it. I don't know if it's gonna be on launch, but we're gonna try.
Okay. Lance also says, does the Amico have a Running Man on it somewhere?
Oh yeah, dude. So on here it's just painted, but let me get this.
I was gonna say I couldn't see anything on that console. Oh, it's
there,
right
baby,
there in the middle. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So when you, but here's the best part: when you turn it on, the Running Man lights up, and when you, and then when you turn these on, you'll also when it's searching. So when you turn these on, it searches for Amico, and while it's searching, the Running Man's running.
Nice.
It's going to be kind of like our pause. There you go. It's searching for Amico.
Perfect.
Okay. Yeah, it's going to kind of be like our loading screen.
All right. So another question from Marcus Mackey says, is there a chance for Amico to get unique versions of Forager or the Spelunky series of indie homebrew games?
So Spelunker,
Spelunky or Forager.
I'm not familiar with those games. I know Spelunker, and that one we've announced, but I'm not sure. I know those other versions. I'm not familiar with those.
Marcus, if you're in the chat, feel free to clarify. I think I copied it straight over, but I might have got it wrong. Okay. He also said, could you get an exclusive Sydney Hunter game for Amico?
I'd love to. I'd love to. I'd love with all updated graphics and everything would be beautiful. I think they did a Switch version, didn't they, of Sydney Hunter? I'm pretty sure. Didn't they? Sydney Hunter Switch. Yeah, Sydney Hunter and the Curse of the Mayan Curse of the Mayan. Let me see. What did that? There it is. Curse of the Mayan. I'm watching the trailer right now. I'm curious to see what it looks like compared to the Collector Vision games. Yeah. We know those guys. Oh, wait, this is a so it's a pixel. So they did a pixel version on the Switch too? Huh.
Okay, here's a question. Is your signature legible?
Yes.
Cool.
It's Tommy and then Tall in a line. So it's Tommy Tall. And it's funny because I'm short. C-Mart, Christian, you said they just got shot down on Steam. Why would Sydney Hunter get shot down on Steam? and then the other question that I would say is that I'd like to see Sydney Hunter with more like smooth, instead of pixel graphics, like smoother cartoon graphics. That would be really cool, as like a unique version. They posted on the Facebook group. What Facebook group is that? Is that Intellivision Invasion, Christian? Or or do they have their own Facebook group? I should get in on that.
Good question.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, Christian, do you know those guys? Oh, so okay, JF and Toby are the guys. Tell them I want to do Sydney Hunter on Amico, and I'd love to talk to him about same game, but updating all the graphics and the music. So let me know. You can be my agent on this. Great. Cool.
Cool. And Marcus had one last game to ask on is how about a Streets of Rage 4 variant for Amico?
I know. I saw the new Streets of Rage is out. That's a tough one because, in keeping, so we've asked a lot of parents about this actually. And I'm not saying this is like we've made any kind of decision. But one of the things that, when we think about just being like responsible, something that we care about, when you have a game so think of like little kids, 5, 6, 7-year-old kids. And if you're like battling tanks and tanks are doing this or that, or you're crashing in, or you're like, you have a laser gun and you blow up a mechanical robot or whatever, that's something. But when you take like your fist and sometimes kids imitate what they see on screen. And so, beat 'em up games, you have a fist and you're punching somebody else in the face, or you're kicking somebody, or you're taking a pipe and you're beating them. I would just be worried and concerned. And again, there's been no decision made, but I'm just telling people my own personal thoughts and things that I kind of struggle with sometimes. Would a 5-year-old kid, when you have a tank and you're blowing up another tank or a robot, that's not something you can really imitate in real life, but you can take your fist and punch your little sister or something like that, right? Mm-hmm. So
you mentioned that before. You talked about that before, that idea of can they go out and replicate it after they've played it on the game. So it's definitely a legitimate concern. It's like, how do you make it Amico friendly and keep it so that you're under E10 and the kids aren't having this like, well, yeah, my kid played Streets of Rage on the Amico and now they're out beating up kids on the playground,
right?
So yeah, you want to. I can see where you want to be careful there.
Hey, there's somebody in here. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Paprium Fiasco. So I got a question for him. So why do you hate me so much? It's a legitimate question, right? I mean, I'm just curious. I'm just everybody's asking me.
You don't know about Cute 'em Up.
I don't know what Cute 'em Up is. No, I don't.
Maybe instead of beat 'em up, it says, how do you make it? Just make it cute and friendly, I guess.
Yeah. So I'm wondering. Did I piss in your Cheerios, or did I? I'm just curious why so much hatred towards me and the system. I saw that Leonard is here, and I know that he's pointed out a couple of awful things that you've said, which are untrue, by the way, that you said about me and the system on Reddit, and when I did my AMA, you said some nasty things. Well, that's good. I'm glad you don't hate me, but but I'm wondering why you're so against what we're doing, or I guess maybe you don't believe the things that I say. Maybe, I don't know. I'm curious, and people. You seem to be in with that group that relishes in tearing us down all the time. So, okay. No, I know you were being positive. I'm asking you a question. Am I allowed to ask you a question? Everybody always asks me questions. So I'm just curious why so much hate. That's all. I mean, you're nice in here, which is great. I wish you were like this all the time, but just curious.
Yeah.
Anyway,
right, we'll give him a chance.
Move on. Maybe, hopefully he'll answer. But if not, then that's fine too.
All right. Well, we just have a couple left that were sent in to me. This one's from Michael Suit from Intellivision Invasion.
He's great. He's got the Tron. Michael. He's got the Tron icon.
So he says, could you share Intellivision Entertainment's relationship with Howard Scott Warshaw of E.T. and Yar's Revenge fame?
Yes. What about it?
Just what's your relationship with him?
Oh, friends. And we've been talking about Amico stuff.
All right. I think you've been talking about some of that with Atari Creep over on Chris's channel, right?
Yes.
A little bit ago. Yeah. It's been a little bit ago, yeah. But that's cool. All right.
We are in active talks with some people that Chris will be very excited to know about sometime.
Cool.
If it happens.
All right. The last question that was sent in to me was from Gary. Again, sorry. The last name is Pauzar from Intellivision Amico and Gaming Community. And he says, and I noticed that you did the interview with Intellivision Nation earlier this week or last week, and mentioned that Treasure of Tarman really isn't a high priority at the moment. But the question was, what about a re-release of the original? Is that something that could come out in one of those packs, in year 2, 3, I think you said?
Oh, yeah, for sure that would. Yeah, Treasure, the original in a pack, for sure. Yeah, we'd put that in with the original Cloudy Mountain. You could do a couple of adventure type packs for sure. Yeah.
Cool. All right. So I'll just say, hey, chat, if you guys have any other
we got 2 minutes
get
left
in real
here.
quick.
What can we do? We got 2 minutes.
Blues Tech wants to know, do you have any relationship with AMD?
Do I have a relationship?
You know what he's fishing for.
No, I know what he's fishing for. We've talked about it. He spelled Intellivision wrong, so I'm not going to answer the question.
Oh, snap. Okay. Oh,
I had to try to find some kind of way out of that, so I made that as an excuse. But
Anthium says, any exclusives with that game company, the makers of Journey, Flow, Sky, Children of Light?
Yeah, so that game company, it's interesting. I'm very dear friends with the composer of those games, Austin Wintry, amazing person, amazing composer. But one of our senior producers, Rusty, is the guy who signed that game company when he worked at Sony for 8 years. So he signed them to Flow and Flower and all that stuff. So we have a friendship with them. But we haven't reached out to them yet. I'd love to, but we haven't. They're on our list of folks to speak with at some point. Huge fans of everything they do.
Cool. How about Sea Battle? Any update there?
It's on our to-do list, but it's not. We haven't started that one yet. I saw Evan had a snafu. We might have an update next month. Evan Lewin, when are you going to reveal the Amico UI? Very interesting question. UI, for those who may not know, stands for user interface. So our menu screens and things like that. So that's something that we're hoping. I don't want to make any promises, but I'm hoping to be showing that pretty soon.
Cool.
It's interesting. Again, I don't know how to pronounce his name, Papium Fiasco or something. Oh, he's deleting his messages or something, or message deleted. You just asked. He said he doesn't hate me, but I'm drinking my own, or I've been drinking too much Kool-Aid since 2018. I'm just curious. I don't know who's Kool-Aid. My own Kool-Aid? I don't know. I make the Kool-Aid. I drink the Kool-Aid. Yeah.
Okay. Well. Here's a little aside. So this is hey, it's my channel. And so I'm going to tell a little personal story. I was talking to my dad for Father's Day, just last weekend. And so we're talking about original Intellivision games. And because we had the Intellivision growing up, his mom bought it for us. And one of the games that we talked about on Sunday was Kool-Aid Man. Because he saved up. He went through and did the promotional. Yeah, so you got to go and you got to like buy all the Kool-Aid and drink it. And so I had this moment on the phone with him, and I was like, so you literally drank Intellivision's Kool-Aid to get the game?
Right, literally.
So I guess that'd be my question: is any chance we could see Kool-Aid Man come back to the Amico? Because they love to bring up the Kool-Aid, so wouldn't it be something if we literally gave them Kool-Aid to play on the Amico?
Let's just say there's been more than one meeting about it. It's tough. Again, like let me get super real. We live in the 21st century now, and I love, when we were all growing up, we all drank the Kool-Aid. But it's tough because when you're there's a lot of sugar in Kool-Aid.
Yeah. Well,
but they do have sugar-free Kool-Aid though. They do have sugar-free. I don't know if it's healthy, but I'd love to do some. I would love to do something like that. It would be so cool to bring that back.
Like how many games back then were just blatant marketing? It's like you have a cool spot for one. Like, okay, we've basically just got a whole game like pitching 7-Up. You've got the Kool-Aid Man game where literally all you do is go around the house and gather ingredients to make Kool-Aid. So it's just kind of funny, what games were made out of back then.
For me, it really is tough for me. And again, I want to separate like my personal life from sometimes from your corporate life, but I want to be responsible, and I don't want to be like the corporate stuff out there where people just do stuff for money, or they're just doing stuff for marketing reasons. I do want to kind of keep pure to our message. Wow, let me do that. Woo. Okay. So that one's a tough one for me. It really is, just because of my personal beliefs about food and stuff and that kind of thing. But again, I would never rule anything out, but I'd love to do something that's a promotion. Maybe we could donate money to something. I don't know.
Or do we get something like an Amico Smash Brothers where you can pull in all these old characters like Kool-Aid Man, and you could get the Running Man in there, and
I know, right?
Just pull together all these guys in. I don't know, or throw Kool-Aid Man into the racer.
OEB Pete saying turn off my autofocus. I don't know how. How the hell do I don't know how.
That's a great question. But you know what? We've gone through our questions. And
anyone else? Last call. Last call. Any other questions in the chat? If anything's coming in, I just want to say thanks to everybody for showing up. I thought this was a great interview, Jeremy. Thank you so much for asking me some amazing questions. And I appreciate everybody. Like I said in the chat, I see a lot of names that that help, that try to give a lot of positive information on YouTube, different channels and different comments. So I really appreciate that. Thank you. Anyway, so yeah, thanks everyone, and Intelli Amico Vision. Will the Amico be in game in UK? The Amico will be in the UK. Yeah.
Pete wants to know a Canadian retailer. Where's he going to buy the Amico up in Canada?
We'll be making. I think we'll be making some announcements in August about that.
Okay, here's one last quick fire. Will there be a loan and borrow function for games like Kindle ebooks? Could you temporarily loan a game to a friend?
If you left your controller over his house, you could, I guess.
So kind of that scenario we talked about. I can send Pete my controller and he can play games as long as I'm not playing them.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know why you'd want to. Yeah, I mean, you could do that. Yes.
You could. You could.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Cool.
All right, well, hey, everybody, thank you so much for coming to the channel. Thank you, Tommy, for giving us a couple hours of your time tonight. I was amazed at how
I read you, Chris. Questions. I wanted to just say to Chris, hit him up about Dr. Kawashima. Yeah, because Chris really does a lot of great stuff with Alzheimer's and stuff. And so, yes, Chris, let's definitely do that. Let's talk about that, because we haven't talked a lot about that anyway. But sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say thank you so much for coming on the channel. I will keep this. I'll keep this up and probably won't do anything with it. I'll just keep it up as is. And really excited for everybody who sent in questions and who asked questions on the chat. If we didn't get to yours, sorry, but we'll Tommy likes to check the comments later. So if you have anything else, feel free to drop it in the comments on the page. And Tommy, any parting words?
Just again, thank you everybody out there. I'm seeing a lot of names that say a lot of nice things and give us a lot of support, and it really does mean a lot to me, to everybody who works at the company. So yeah, keep the positivity flowing. We really do appreciate it, and it means a lot that so many people are interested in what we're doing and are helping us to spread the word. And so please, when you see videos online, comments and leave positive comments, and let's help me spread the word. That I really appreciate everybody supporting us. It really does mean a lot. It makes all this hard work worth it when I come and see folks who are so passionate about it. So I really appreciate it.
All right, thanks again for coming on, and everybody have a great night.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody.